Going on, everyone? Welcome to the Big Dumb Network Dude channel. Today we are going to be looking at installing Cisco Secure Firewall Virtual (FTDv) on a Proxmox server. Why are we looking at that? Why would we want to do that? Well, as you've been in IT or been around for more than a week, you probably know about the Broadcom VMware acquisition and how that has kind of shaken up the industry a little bit in terms of hypervisors. And I think it's just, nice to look at other avenues, other examples that we can maybe leverage. I will say, however, that the Cisco Secure Firewall Virtual or FTDv is not supported on Proxmox at this time. That doesn't mean that we can't get it working. So this might be something to kind of tinker around with a lab environment. I do not know if I would want to run this in production per se, but we're gonna go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna try to make this video quick and easy to follow. First things first, let's go ahead and jump in and look at what the architecture layout is going to be. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and spin through the architecture and kind of what this looks like right now. So in my environment, I do have a Meraki MX75 acting as my edge firewall, which then is connected down to a Catalyst 9200 distribution switch and then connected down to my Catalyst 9200 lap switch. That lap switch does have a Ether port channel to my Proxmox DC1 server. I do have multiple servers within this overall Proxmox environment, but this is going to be the one we're installing the FTDv home on. This port channel right now just serves up my, I guess, quote unquote, normal lab environment traffic, which is going to be separate from the traffic that sits behind this FTDv home here. So I do also have a Ubuntu machine that is set up, and it will be connected to the same VMBR that the FTDv's management inside and another one of its data ports are connected to, so that I can do the initial setup through the GUI there. And then I should also note that that VMBR is not associated with any physical NIC on the server itself. And then from an outside interface, this VMBR, this purple line here, is actually associated to a physical interface on the server that connects to my distribution switch on Access VLAN 99. So Access VLAN 99 is acting as a transient VLAN to connect to my MX75. And then from a logical standpoint, it does look like the MX75 is directly connected to the FTDv home. So that right there is a very high level of what kind of we're going to be doing, what the lab looks like. And now we will go ahead and jump right in and start with the actual configuration. So first things first, go ahead and fire up your favorite browser and navigate over to software.cisco.com. And we're going to be looking for the Secure Firewall Threat Defense virtual image. The image that we need to install on Proxmox is the KVM install package. For this example, I am going to be using the latest and greatest image, so the 7.6. If you want to, you can go ahead and do the Gold Star or the 7.2 release. I'm just going to use 7.6 for this tutorial. So go ahead and download that. I've already got mine downloaded. Once you do have it downloaded, we then need to get that image over to our Proxmox server. And specifically, it needs to be at var lib vz template and qcow. However you do that is completely up to you. I've used FileZilla. It's very easy. As you can see, I've already got that image set over here in interest of time, because I didn't want to keep you guys waiting while that uploaded. If you want to SCP it, you can go ahead and do that as well. So once you have that image on that server in the correct folder, go ahead and hop over to Proxmox. So one of the first things I do want to show you before we start creating the VM is the network setup, as I kind of talked through a few minutes ago when I was kind of showing you the overall architecture. The VMBR that I'm going to attach to 3 interfaces is going to be this VMBR management. And that's also the same VMBR that, as I said, this Ubuntu jump server is attached to. So I'm going to be able to get into the GUI and do the initial setup of the firewall. And again, this is not, as you can see, this does not have any ports associated to it physically on the server. But we do have our VMBR out, which is, again, is the NIC that is going out to my MX75. That one obviously does have a physical NIC from the server associated with it. So there's that. Just wanted to touch base there. Let's go ahead and get the VM created. So I'm gonna come over here, create VM. Yep, we're on the correct node. Name, we'll call it FTDv-home. For OS, we're going to say do not use any media at this time. We will associate the media to it shortly. For system, you can keep this all default. I believe in previous trials I have tested with UEFI, but I do feel BIOS does work a bit better. For disks, I'm going to have this in my VM Data 1 data store, and I'll just throw 50 gigs at it for right now. For CPU, I'm going to go ahead and give it, let's say, we'll give it 8 cores because I'm going to be building out. So if we look at the official documentation for a KVM install, the FTDv 30 is an 8-core 16 gig box. So that is what I'm going to build out here in Proxmox. Now, this is very, very important. When you select your cores, you need to go down and select host for the type. I have tried it with, selecting exactly what CPU architecture that I'm using or type at that point in time, and there's been a lot of issues. But I've had no issues when you do select type for host. For memory, I'm going to go ahead and give it 16 gigs. And then for network, to start off, so again, per documentation here with Cisco, we need to have 4 NICs associated with this firewall. 0 needs to be your management. Then VNIC 1 also should still be on that same management VMBR. NIC 2 is going to be your outside, and then NIC 3 is going to be your inside. And again, the way this sets up, it kind of expects all these, your internals, your management and internal, to all be on the same network. So for this one, to start off with, we will do VMBR management, VirtIO paravirtualize. I've always stuck with that. Next, and we will go ahead and confirm and finish that. So once this gets going, we do need to add, like I said, this has to boot with four NICs. So we will get those added right now. Let's go ahead and add the second one. That needs to be part of management as well. The third, or I guess NIC 2, needs to be your outside. So that is going to be my VMBR out. And then last but not least, we are going to put it management for our inside. So cool. We have everything pretty much set up, but we need to get that image that we uploaded to that folder earlier associated with this VM. So how we're going to do that, I'll go ahead and just fire up a shell real quick. We're on the server, so again, we'll go ahead and go to that folder where we had this YZ VZ, whoops, VZ and QCow. Okay, so as you can see, we do have our image here, and then now we need to run the following command to associate that with that VM. So we're going to run qm import disk. This here at the, this needs to be the VM ID or number that we just did, and I did not check that. What was that? That was 105. So I could have kept it. Cool. So 105, the name of our image. So depending on what you use, that will be different. And then here is the data store in which you created that VM in. So for me, it's VM data 1. For you, again, that will also be different. So we can go ahead and execute that. This is going to take a few seconds to scream through and get that imported. Cool. So we are done with that. Let's pop over here. Go to our VM, and we should see a hard drive, another disk drive, pop up here. Sometimes it does take a couple minutes. What the hell's going on out here? All right, so sorry about that. I ended up pausing the video because it was actually taking a lot longer than what I wanted to wait around and have you guys wait for. So the disk did show up as expected, and what we need to do, we need to click on that, and then we just need to say add the disk. So once the disk has been added, we need to go into our options here and select the boot order, because we want that disk to be the startup. So go ahead and enable that. Okay. And at this point, we should be good to go ahead and get this thing fired up. So I'm going to hop over to the console here and go ahead and start it. Now, I also want to say that this initial boot does take a very, very long time. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording again, because like I said, I've seen this take maybe as little as 7 minutes all the way up to 15 minutes to kind of come to life. So if you see that, if you start it and then you're just stuck with this screen for a while, just wait, be patient. It will eventually come up and you'll be able to do that initial configuration. But yeah, so I will be back in a second.
5 minutes later.
Alrighty, we are back and the firewall is ready to be configured for initial setup. So let's go ahead and log in. The default login for Firepowers is admin, and then capital admin 123. Cool. Yep, let's look at the EULA. All very exciting information. Let's go ahead and accept that. All right, we gotta come up with a new password. Type it. All right, so we got to configure at least one interface. So the Yes, we want to do that. Do you want to configure IPv6? Leave it as default. No, we do not. We are going to manually configure this. So for my environment, I will have a management interface will be 10.222.222.3. And that is actually a /24, so we'll keep that as is. And then the default gateway for this, which will also be the LAN IP of the inside interface here. Once we get that all set up, is 10.222.222.1. Let's see. Let's call this FTD-home.cloud connected.cloud. And I'm cool with using umbrella DNS, so we will keep that as is right now. We will just keep that as none. And yes, we do. We do want to manage this locally to start off. So keep that as it. All right, just going through its first boot and configuration. And at this point, knock on wood, we should be able to log into the GUI. So let's hop over to that Ubuntu jump server that I talked about earlier. Get logged in here. And then let's fire up a browser. Let's see if we get lucky. So that was HTTPS at 10.222.222.3. That looks promising. We'll go ahead and accept and continue. And bada bing, bada boom. It looks like we are good to go. So let's just go ahead and log in real quick to take a look. Sweet. Yep. So it looks like we are all up and running. I am not going to go through the initial configuration right now, just because I want to save that for another video. I just wanted to kind of show here that we can get this up and going on a Proxmox server. And that's about it. I hope you found this video useful. If you watched it in its entirety, like I said, the main reason I did this was because for this solution with FTDv on Proxmox, documentation out there is just about zero, at least that I've been able to find. So I figured I'd go ahead and I guess start blazing the trail on getting some use cases out there. I do want to reiterate, though, that this is not a supported solution by Cisco. So if you do deploy this on Proxmox in production, even though I told you not to, please do not come to my house with pitchforks and torches, because you will not be able to get assistance from TAC. You do need to deploy this on a supported solution if you want the TAC assistance. So yeah, this is the first video I'm hoping of many that will be popping up on this channel. So if you want to see more, hit you with the obligatory like and subscribe, and we'll see if I don't start posting a bit more.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!